Hello, my name is Tim Bernard, and this is Beyond the Headlines, where we take a much different look at what is going on in the world around us. This is my website. There's tons of information, hundreds of hours of videos and documentaries. Too many for me to even cover a fraction of what I put up in a week. So I hope you'd go there. You can direct other people there. I have links to tons of other people with even bigger sites and more websites, because no one can really have an excuse these days for being as ignorant as many people like to be. Because people like comfortable lies. And who will give you those lies? Yes, the bought-off media. They will tell you whatever you want to hear. This is part of what is going on. The scientific technological elite that was told to us by Eisenhower. And when you take over a country, you definitely want to control the media. We've been able, through public access like this, to get onto TV with alternative viewpoints. I mean, whatever you're free to believe whatever you want. And we also have the internet is still open, though they're moving more and more towards censorship, because that is what the globalists, who completely pretty much own the Democratic Party, and the vast majority of the Republican Party is owned, because you don't really think there's a party that's for you. I mean, come on. Why do you think they're so after Trump? Because they don't own him. He's always played with the system. I'm not saying he's going to be any different, but everyone else in the race, except for Rand Paul, was completely bought off. And they made sure that Rand didn't get in. And they're doing everything to try to defeat him in his Senate seat in Kentucky. But, because there's plenty of people who for 7 figures, and quite frankly a lot less, you just tell people that you'll put them on TV and they'll say whatever you want them to say. And I happened to run into some people. I went to the Republican Convention for a couple of days. I wasn't gonna go, and so I didn't get a press pass to go inside. And I didn't stay, I just stayed for a couple of days, and there was a Marian apparition site near there that I went to, which we'll look at later. But one of the people I bumped into was this Jesse Waters. I want to play a couple of clips now. First is a clip from Laura Ingraham taking on the news. Folks, here that is.
To all my friends, they're way up there in the press. I see you. Hello. Hello. To all my friends up there in the press. You all know why, in your heart, Donald Trump won the Republican nomination. You know it. You know why he won it? Because he dared to call out the phonies, the frauds, and the corruption that has gone unexposed and uncovered for too long. Too long. Do your job. What a joke. America is on to you.
Now, I want to talk to Laura, because as she says, there's a lot of things that they don't report about. Well, I don't think she reports about everything either, because they wouldn't let her on even the limited amount that she is. So I'm going to try to enlighten her, since she may not know about some of the things that are common knowledge. But here's Jesse. I couldn't get any good clips of his face, so I'll just have a few stills that I took out of the video, because I'm walking along with him. He's very unhappy that I'm there asking him real questions. If you don't know who he is, he does like man in the street interviews. So anyway, here's a brief encounter with Jesse outside the RNC.
Hey Jesse, you know you always like to ask people out on the streets, have you ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
No, I never have.
How about, you ever ask people about Building 7?
No, never have.
Well, you're familiar with that though.
Not really.
Oh, come on, the Salomon Brothers building? You've never heard, you live in New York? Building what? That was a big campaign they had where they had signs up on billboards. And the judge said, oh, hey, what is this building what? It's all about 2,500 architects and engineers have come out and said there's no way that you'll fit. Well, it's not even in the official story, but we forced them to come up with an official story that they've changed over half a dozen times. I think that's sort of important, don't you? I mean, you like to come out and show how ignorant the masses are, and I agree, they are. As you've told, but you don't have any comment on that?
Not right now.
Holy mackerel, buddy, that's important. Especially being a New Yorker, I think you'd care. I've talked to firefighters and stuff that were in the building. Women that lost their husbands there. I mean, come on, you love to come out. No comment at all?
I don't really know what you're talking about, buddy.
Oh, come on. You can't be that ignorant.
Watch it.
As a New Yorker? Well, you go out and you make fun of people. That's your whole gig. Okay, brother, well, you have a good one. Look it up.
As we can see from his face here, he's not acknowledging me. He's just looking straight ahead, wishing I was not there, asking real questions. He just wants to live in what he calls water world. I call it la la land. But our fellow William Casey, the CIA director, said, we'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. But we are the resistance, the few who seek the truth and bear witness to it. The V from the Vietnam War, also from the Second World War, the Vichy government, because I have a special connection to the French. The partisans used to mark V's to let the traitors and the Germans know that there were people behind the scenes who were fighting them. This is the first global revolution. This is a book written by the other side, because that's how the game is played. They openly tell you what they're doing. Here it is. We're coming to you from Global Region 1, FEMA District 10. The world's already been cut up. Check it out. These might not be, this was from 40 years ago, so these might not be the final boundaries, but it will be cut up just like the book of Revelation says. This is a sweetheart from Syria giving us the sign. And people should be going to jail. Number one would be Obama and Hillary and all the neocons and the Republican Party too who supported this war. Because this is an illegal war, just as Libya was an illegal war. We had no right to go in there. And the reason we went into Libya was all about the money. Follow the money. And no one's telling you the truth on either side. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Nothing has changed. And I was at a religious store today, picked up some candles, and I mentioned about Bohemian Grove here, and that every Republican president in the 20th century has been there, except for Trump has not been there, because he's not a part of the system. As I played last week, the clip where Gingrich said, well, he hasn't been initiated yet. He's not a part of the secret society. And this guy there said, well, you'd have to show me the pictures. And I said, just look them up. I said, it's not, this is common knowledge. You know how to use Google Images. You can look it up and see it. And we're going to play a clip from Bohemian Grove now, because it's going on right now. It happens every year at the end of July and the beginning of August. Here it is.
While in New York, we ran into the Karl Rove of 4 administrations. David Gergen, top presidential advisor to Ford, Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, and Bill Clinton. We couldn't believe our luck. It just so happens that David Gergen is also a prominent member of the Bohemian Grove, the offshoot of Skull and Bones. This insider of insiders, a staple of the White House for 22 years, got very upset when we brought up Bohemian Grove to him. He didn't deny its existence. He didn't deny that he was a member. He didn't deny the rituals. He just became angry and didn't act very gentlemanly.
Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there, and it's really inappropriate for me to talk about the group beyond that. Thank you.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Great owl of Bohemia, we thank thee for thy adjuration.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000. I'm the guy that blew it wide open and got the video. It's been on national TV.
Well, I disrespect you for that.
You do?
I do.
But there's a lot of big public officials going in there. Don't we deserve to know?
You took I don't know anything about you, and I don't know anything about your film. But if you go in there with an understanding, you violated that understanding by releasing that film, and I don't respect you for that.
Really? But we have public officials.
I'm sorry. You took an understanding when you went in there that you would not do that film, and did you have an understanding when you went in there?
No.
Did you crash it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it has no trespassing signs there too, doesn't it?
No, they put them up after.
Oh, I'm
I just
sorry.
walked in.
I'm sorry, sir. I've been there before. I know what the circumstances are, and I'm sorry you violated the understandings. That was not a gentlemanly thing to do.
But what about the ritual? Is the ritual genuinely?
Sir, everything I don't owe you this comment.
I know. I appreciate it.
This is what's called ambush journalism, and I disrespect you for that as well. So thank you
ever
and goodbye.
been in the ritual?
It's none of your damn business.
Oh.
You would think that this would be on the nightly news. This is sort of a big story. People doing a mock sacrifice of a child in front of a stone owl in Northern California, and it's not a bunch of whack jobs, it's our leaders. President Nixon wrote about it in his memoirs, and Helmut Schmidt, just look into it if you don't know about it. This is right from their own anal. This is where they bring the child in an effigy on this lake. You can see the clowns in their garments. This is that altar that was on fire, and those are some priests behind it. Right out of the book of Leviticus. It's called Moloch. Nothing has changed. Microsoft, Google, and Hyatt, women need abortions to promote their economic interests. This is how far we have fallen. This is the other side in the destruction of the family. I've played clips of that one gal from MSNBC saying we need to think about the new model. They're destroying the family. That is, if you study the Democrats, and we'll get more into that in a little while. And there's still good people in the Democrats. I notice, well, we'll talk more in a little bit. Please share. Yeah, they're going to do a satanic desecration. This is going to be in Oklahoma, a public black mass where demons are invoked, the Eucharist is stomped on, Mary is consumed in blood, is consumed by a blood demon goddess, Kali, Maya. I've shown you the pictures before. I'll put it up here right now. Pictures of, here's how far we've fallen. This is from the 1950s in New York City where they put crosses on buildings. And then here's Satan in the smoke in 2011 or 2001, the attack on September 11th. And this last picture was from last year, 2015, where they openly put Kali, the god of death, on the Empire State Building. And death is what is coming to New York. You will see that town will be destroyed. How a lack of reverence for the Eucharist puts people off Catholicism. And this is, I was talking to some evangelicals, and they're not used to anyone who can defend their faith. I have no problem taking people on anytime about Christianity and about Catholicism in particular. And I just told them that this is what the devil's after. And it's like I told them, I said, so, I mean, you would agree that the devil knows if the Eucharist is the real presence. Many Catholics don't know. And definitely anyone who doesn't believe in it, which is like the Protestants, they don't think it is. Because they would have to change. Change is what is coming. The end of ignorance is what is coming. I've shown you that before. The illumination of souls, it's called. We're right on the edge of that. Things need to get a little more crazy. But what is coming is the takedown of the Mass. That will be the fulfillment of the prophecies in Daniel in the 12th chapter, where for about 3.5 years, it's been pointed to even more than just that, because as prophecy gets closer and closer to being fulfilled, God sheds more and more light on it. And so that's one from more than 2,000 years ago. But we have, like Our Lady of La Salette and many others, talking about it specifically. This is Cardinal Marx from Germany. And this was a little report that Church Militant put on. If you don't know who they are, you should check them out. I don't agree with everything that Michael puts out, but specifically his thoughts on Medjugorje. But they do a lot of really good exposés. And this is just a simple thing that this guy put out. He says that the statistics show that the church in Germany continues to be a strong force whose message is heard and accepted. There obviously not only is an interest in, but also an active desire for the sacraments of the church, as the slight increase of baptisms and marriages proves. And as Michael said, this is like a politician talking, because he mentions, let's see, some of the real numbers. In the last 20 years, half of the Catholics are gone, okay? Marriages, they went from 86,000 a year, now they're down to 44. Baptisms were 260,000 a year, they're down to 160,000. And a lot of people will still baptize their kid and stuff, even though they don't go to church regularly. Here in Seattle, it's roughly about 5 to 7% of Catholics who were baptized here go on a weekly basis. And probably even less that pray daily. So things are not getting better, they're getting worse. One other thing was half of the priests go to confession less than once a year. That's not a good thing. I go about once a month, pretty much. And here's St. Francis de La Salle. He says, the declared enemies of God and His church, heretics and schismatics, must be criticized as much as possible as long as truth is not denied. It is a work of charity to shout, "Here is the wolf," when it enters the flock or anywhere else. And people call me that because I remember some people called me the devil once, but they were a pack of liars and I was exposing their lies. They were just blatantly lying, and not about a little lie. It was a multi-million-dollar lie. You can find that stuff on my religious website. Our Lord sees what's going on. There will be change. The more that He has to do, the worse it's going to be for us. He gives us all the grace for us to deal with the problems. And the first thing to do is, if you don't have a prayer life, I urge you to begin to get one. Because it's not going to get easier, it's going to get harder when the trials come. The worst is still a ways off. This is Our Lady of Good Success. She spoke of 400 years ago pointed to these times, specifically mentioning the 20th century. It's coming in through the Masonic sects. I've done tons of stuff about that, and talked about the children being corrupted in these days. And she also mentions that the people who should have spoken out will fall silent. I mean, do you hear about this from our leaders? I mean, Trump knows about this stuff, and maybe he'll say some stuff, but he can't say everything, or he'd never completely get elected. Hillary's not going to tell you what they're doing, because she's completely a part of this system, like the Bushes were. They own both parties. And then the clergy, our other leaders, the apologists, no one, very few people will talk about this. And they won't tell you why. The real reason why is because they're afraid. And that's prophecy, my friends. You and the clergy. It is already written. And I've shown some of you these writings. And it's anyone who's gone to my website, you have more than the information you need that our Lord has warned you, not through me, through other recognized folks and apparitions. So there's nothing new about this. Here's our Pope. The top Muslim ally of the Pope Francis reaffirms that Muslim converts to Christianity should be killed. Okay. And I believe in dialogue. But to just openly, as the Vatican and the bishops and our leadership are all just bringing in the immigrants unvetted, they don't even look at whether they're sick or not to heal them. They just throw infected people with TB into our schools. I mean, it's insane what's going on. Insane. But that bag of pus, Paul Ryan, hopefully he's going to be taken out. But we are living in the times of the book of Revelation. This mark that Father Zudak received in 1999 is right out of the book of Revelation. Open up the 6th chapter and take a look. Because the angels have been sent to the four corners of the earth, and the marking has started. And is well along its way. I'm not going to get a mark. You're not going to get a mark. The reason it's in our forehead, as it says in the book, is because we have to believe. The key to understanding the book of Revelation is Alpha and Omega, first and last. That's how the book is written. It leads up to their time, and it really kicks off in the 13th chapter, even though they're all here now. The main players are here. This is from Our Lady of La Salette, another church-approved apparition. The church will be eclipsed. At first, we will not know which is the true pope. Then secondly, the holy sacrifice of the Mass will cease to be offered in churches and houses. It will be such that for a time there will not be public services anymore. And that time is 3.5 years. But I see that the holy sacrifice has not really ceased, but it will be offered in barns, in alcoves, in caves, and underground, just as when the church started, in the catacombs. And then it will be reborn, because this is the church. Too bad for you folks who think the church is going to be destroyed, for it will not be destroyed. For Jesus said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against my church. And of course, the Lion Chief came out, and I was impressed with some of what Trump's speech was. He is a brash New Yorker. So, I mean, I don't know how well you know people from different localities. But so I would have used a few different words in some spots. But basically he went out, and he's going to be attacked viciously by all sides. You saw throughout the whole primaries how he was attacked even by the supposedly conservative people. And you can really see they're going to do everything from infiltrating people around him. It's going to be, he needs your prayers. I pray for him every day. I pray for Obama every day. Every day by name, I ask God to pray for, because he's our leader. That doesn't mean I, of course, pray for him to get everything he wants. But that he would wake up to what he's doing, because the day is going to come. It's one thing to bamboozle the people. It's a far different thing to, well, and you don't even get to talk at the judgment, because God knows who we are. Every hair on our head. Oh, yeah, this is what we need for a president. This is as Secretary of State. Lord only knows what they'll be doing. I mean, they only gave us stained dresses in the White House, not to mention all the other shenanigans which has been reported. You know, stuff like crack pipes on the Christmas tree. Oh, and there was Mao Zedong on Christmas ornaments. You can look that up. Some of the Secret Service leaked those pictures. These people are unbelievably, and well, let's see. Yeah, but that's a pretty kind way to look at it, and that's ABC News, which is a lefty thing. They're saying, yeah, Clinton is willing to bend the rules. 72% of the people agree with that. Well, you either don't know anything about the gal if you don't believe that. And here's Hank Meltdown Paulson. He was the Secretary of Treasury under Bush, who sold us out. He was a former CEO of Goldman Sachs. And you know, he says, yeah, you know, I'm for Hillary, even though he's supposedly a fake Republican, a rhino. You know, because of her globalist platform as a reason for the endorsement. And he should be going to jail for his $200 million consulting fee. That's an interesting story I've gone into before. This is a pretty good movie. It lays out a bunch of the stuff, but the one thing D'Souza does not go into is the corruption as much in the Republican Party. He does not go into the rhinos and how they're, it's really one party. The Democrats are more ruthless of a party. I used to think it was the other way when I was younger, but I believed, you know, I didn't realize what liars the mainstream media were. But of course, hey, they have single-digit approval ratings now. But they have their cadre who, you know, believe the baloney that they put out. And I'm just trying to find out what is going on and simply bear witness to that. And I make changes when if I make a mistake, you know, then I acknowledge it and make a change. That's how it works. This is the InfoWars people, they closed down the airspace around Cleveland, and it's the first time ever this has been done, because they follow what we're doing, and they closed down the airspace around Philadelphia. But Alex went and bought a bunch of, he bought this big banner, and he's going to be flying it around where they're speaking and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a wild election cycle. And I don't believe the polls. I believe Hillary is behind, and they're spending a ton of money, and they have all the positive press going for them. And still, because the people are so sick of them, of the Democrats. And the rhino Republicans have been giving them everything they want. And that's why we're hoping we get rid of Paul Ryan. Because, yeah, change we can believe in. And everybody's laughing on both sides. I mean, there's George Bush in there. And it looks like Cheney's in the background. I mean, there's Rumsfeld back there. You know, it's just one big happy family. It's like all-star wrestling. That's what it's all about. And this is a great thing. See, and that's one of the reasons they want the Hillary, not only because she's bought off, but she will also make it smoother as we move farther and farther into this police state tyranny. I've showed you the clips of her talking about her fun camps. I've also done stuff about what these fun camps really are, because the information was leaked to us by the military. I have permanent links to that on the front page of my website. At the top, the articles are down below, these permanent links. But see, the Republicans aren't going to get out and protest. You know, that's just not going to happen. They'll get out and vote and do some stuff, but they're not going to take to the streets. And the Democrats will, but of course, as long as their man is selling us out, they're not going to get out into the streets. You know, as long as it's Obama's wars, everything's cool. Just tell us it's liberal and progressive. It's for the people. I mean, look what happened to the people of Libya. And the Catholic bishops were for that intervention. It meant not one of the just war theorems laid down by St. Thomas Aquinas, a doctor of the church. It was exactly what the globalists wanted. And you better be assured that many in the clergy, and this is a prophecy, but you can just deduce this from look at the sex scandal. If you didn't learn anything from that, and they haven't fixed it because they never cleaned up the seminaries, where the biggest problem was, because that's where the priests come, that's where they weed out the good priests, and the priests themselves have said, yeah, 30 to 50% of us are gay. So that was an internal polling, and that's what the priests responded back. So unless they lied, well over 30%. And so that's like 15 to 20 times the representation in the mainstream public. And that's even if you, even after all of the social engineering, which is another thing they never talk about. And this is the new running mate. He's a fallen Catholic. Hillary picked a apostate Catholic, but this is a fallen Catholic, which would be a comatose Catholic, non-practicing, I guess. But we'll just have to wait and see. He's got some good stuff on abortion, but he backed off on, I don't know, it's so bad. But here's a few clips from different things I did when I was in Cleveland for the Republican convention in the very beginning.
Because the Democratic Party is the party of the Ku Klux Klan. As long as they have you on welfare, as long as they have you on the mammary gland of America with their food stamps and their little bit of freaking money, they keep you on the plantation. See, this is what they don't want. Black Lives Matter is funded by the White House, ma'am, by Obama, George Soros. All lives matter. Number one, all lives matter, okay? God made us all. God made us all lives matter. So if you want to separate yourself and put yourself on a platform about black lives, but what about that yellow man? What about that orange person? What about that purple person? What about them?
The claim of Black Lives Matter is that African Americans are kind of targeted. They get more killed.
Yes, we want them to matter.
Hold on a second. This is what happens in black neighborhoods. It's black on black. It's black on black what kills these young youths in their neighborhoods. The Democratic Party has owned the black neighborhoods for over 60, 70 years. Look at them. Look at, and they give you a black president who's a Muslim. He supports radical Islam. From the White House, they the ones who created ISIS. Look at their policies. Look at their policies.
This election is unlike any other election that we have seen, and I'll tell you why. This is not the Republicans versus the Democrats. This is the elites of the Republican and Democratic Party who have driven this country into the ditch versus Donald J. Trump and the rest of America. And it is, sadly, the two-party duopoly that has given us endless war, erosion of our civil liberties, massive debt and borrowing.
Damn right they have.
They have given us a foreign policy that is expensive and incoherent.
And we're broke.
And we are stone cold broke. So when Hillary Clinton decided to bomb Libya so that we could institute Sharia law to put the women of Libya back 2,000 years, we had to go to the national credit card to borrow the money for the bombing. That is how pathetic the Obama-Clinton administration has been.
Shameful.
Sometimes it is reasonable for a police officer to handle black men with a little bit more caution than it is for a 5'2" Chinese man, for instance. Because statistically, they're not committing violent crimes. Statistically, they're not killing cops. Now, for instance, okay, so if a police officer pulls over an Arab in Manhattan, right? Let me just put one.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, sure.
You know, one of the things I think I'm most proud of with the book and also with the film is there are a lot of people that are progressives who are very frustrated and angered with what the Clintons have done. Eleanor Clift, probably a lot of people know here, a progressive journalist from Newsweek, came out very, very supportive of the book. Larry Lessig, who's a law professor at Harvard, who's very progressive, said flat out that what the book shows is, you know, widespread corruption. So this is not just a sort of Republican issue. There are people that share concerns about these very facts. Yes, sir.
Me? One thing I know about the Digicel telebanking thing in Haiti was that one of the major sponsors was the Gates Foundation. So I'm kind of wondering how the model of the Clinton Foundation and its global initiatives is being adopted by other oligarchic type foundations like the Gates Foundation, which is a terrible group and only ever gets good publicity. And I'm wondering if over time we're going to see the Clinton Foundation become a model for whole networks of these things.
It's a great question. Is the Clinton Foundation a model? I think it is. And I think, by the way, look, Bill Clinton has promised that if his wife becomes president, he's not changing a thing. He's going to continue to give speeches. He's going to continue to raise money for the Clinton Foundation. And, you know, this, as I said at the beginning, is the fear. Now, why cannot any politician do this? Why can't the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State in the future do the same thing? This model of having a foundation and what they call a public-private partnership working together is the wave of the future. And public-private partnership, I don't like that term. I prefer cronyism, because that's what it is. You're collaborating between government power, the ability of government to do something to you or for you, with a private entity. It's being wrapped in the cloak of doing something for everybody's benefit, but as I think we demonstrated, that's really not always the case.
Okay, one of the interesting things while I was there was this is a guy with a real AR-15. It looks like he might be a Muslim with his skull cap. I don't know. And this was at a rally that was poorly attended because there was a lot of fear there in Cleveland that there was really going to be some violence. And so the guy just says, let's give Trump a break. At least he's not a rattlesnake like Hillary Clinton. And I'm not out here, we know what we're going to get with Hillary. I mean, it's not like maybe. Bill Clinton was the guy who sold us out with Glass-Steagall, getting rid of that. He also wide opened the derivatives market, which you can look up on my website, a great PBS documentary about the derivatives market. And Brooksley Born, this woman who was fighting Bill and some of his cronies. If they get back in, it's over. Well, take a look at how well the socialists are doing in Venezuela. They're leaving. Take a look at the Middle East and what's going on. And we got to stop the neocons, which are the people, the Bushes and all those folks, because they want war with Obama. And it's not, like I mentioned before several times, and at the beginning of Obama's presidency, we had that document that's on the CFR website where one of Obama's top policy guys is in Germany talking to the CFR, or not the CFR, but to that type of a group over there. And he says that he gets his briefing orders every day from Henry Kissinger, and he lists off several people till it gets to him. Every day from Henry, because Henry Kissinger is the top legate or lieutenant, however you want to look at it, for this globalist group that is trying to set up their world government. And don't say it's not being set up. We have a World Bank. They openly write about it. Billy's mentor wrote about it, Tragedy and Hope. Just look it up. It's all there. This is how disgusting it is. We should have armed the Kurds. Instead, we let that whole region be overrun because they've been our allies. They've had sort of an autonomous region there in northern Iraq. But no, let's let them in, go in and take over Mosul and all these other cities. I mean, it's just an absolute disgrace what goes on. But, hey. And a pro-life leader, Planned Parenthood kills over 266 unarmed black lives each day. And you won't hear that from Oprah. You won't hear that from anybody in Black Lives Matter, because black children don't matter. And just to be fair, though, we've got other stuff. And this was set up by the globalists who did this because they are the master manipulators playing us off against each other. Look, it looks like we could be in for a pretty good drop. Here's household wealth flashes, warning sign. The last two run-ups preceded recessions. Kaboom, kaboom. Take a look at what's going on. Since Obama's been in, he's doubled the debt, more than doubled it. $1.1 trillion a year to the national debt under Obama. Of course, when Republicans bring this up, I always mention to them that, oh, by the way, Bush doubled the debt from 4 to 8, or 8+ trillion under his presidency. And here's from right across the border in Idaho. The Idaho hospital refuses to release the medical records of the 5-year-old victim raped by Muslim migrants. And remember, the father of the 13-year-old congratulated his son. They have a different culture. We're crazy to just ship these people in, but it's a plan to destabilize, divide and conquer America. They don't give a damn about the Muslims. They don't give a damn about the Latinos. They're just using them as they sit up on top, and we fight about this baloney. And this was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, I've spoken out about when cops are wrong. And it's not the majority of them, but there are some in there, and they do need to police themselves. But the administration has been trying to get a war going and heighten people's stuff up. But this is absolutely ridiculous. This guy's laying down with his hands in the air, and he gets shot. And the cop goes, well, I was trying to shoot the guy in front of him who's an autistic man, And this guy was his handler, his therapist, and he had a toy truck in his hand. I mean, it's, everybody needs to calm down, take a look at what's going on. Everyone needs to say a few prayers. And Twitter just banned this Milo. He's a conservative gay guy. So he doesn't fit their mold. You can't be conservative and gay. And he just wrote a thing about this new Ghostbusters movie saying it was garbage. And he tried to say that the last one had some redeeming values. That one was pretty ridiculous. It wasn't for free on TV. It might have been better than some of the other crap they have on TV. But most of the garbage that's coming out of Hollywood and I wouldn't let a child watch TV because of, even if it's a decent show, you should be watching with them because of the ads and stuff that are on. It's used for social engineering. So I'd be really leery of letting a child watch TV. The false left-right paradigm, my friends, do not get caught up in it. And here's what GMO did to some rats, but don't worry about it. The elite don't eat it. I don't eat it. I do everything I can to try to eat as clean a food as possible. Because this is what one of a globalist said, 60 years ago. Through diet injections and injunctions, we'll combine from a very early age to produce the sort of character and the sort of beliefs that the authorities consider desirable. That's what's going on. Social engineering, and the Democrats are much better than the Republicans at it. But the rhinos in the Republicans, I mean, I could spend a lot of time on that. Here's what they're putting in our water. If you drink it, I mean, look, one of the target organs is even the teeth, even though they say sodium fluoride is good for your teeth. But this is the world we live in. And on my website, I've got a website just for this issue called Wake Up Seattle. And you can see there's a great documentary called The Culling. There's also a nice abstract from a peer-reviewed NIH, National Institutes of Health study from people from Harvard, where it says, yeah, it lowers your IQ. You can read the abstract for yourself. But hey, don't worry about it. Just keep drinking the fluoride, sitting in front of the tube, and they'll tell you how to think. Yeah, what was that? Karl Rove, that pile of garbage, said, I create reality. No, buddy, you don't. No nation could preserve its freedom in the midst of continual warfare. That's Madison. False flag operations. If it looks like they're going to lose the election, there for sure will be false flag ops. And I'd be shocked if there weren't, and there will be after, because the economy is just teetering along, and they're going to bring it down. Because it's like we were told that our depressions would now be scientifically created. And speaking the truth in deceitful times is a revolutionary act. That's George Orwell. Here's Building 7. Now, I happened to bump into General Flynn at the RNC, and here's my exchange with him.
Yeah?
I'm doing one thing at a time.
I know, but you can wait 1 second and let me have a talk.
I'll tell you what, I'm done.
Well, I know you like his questions because mine are real. If you love our country, then we should want to know how a 500-foot tall building collapsed when nothing hit it. And who put the...
Are you an engineer?
There's 2,500 architects and engineers who are putting their livelihood on the line about that.
Good.
I mean, they're ready to go. I'm not getting in his way at all. I'm not in his way at all.
Just do me a favor and stay a good 3-4 feet away.
That's all I'd like to know. I mean, do you think it's important?
It's a nice camera. What kind of camera is that?
It's a Canon.
Huh? How much that thing cost?
About $800. But that was a few years ago. They've gotten a lot cheaper.
Pay for that yourself?
Yes, I did. I actually worked.
Do I support it? Did I support it? I didn't have any choice. Okay. I mean, in the military, right? Yeah. Do I think it was the right thing? I've been very, very adamant that it's probably going to go down as a big strategic error. And obviously, it did a lot of things. And I wrote about it. I wrote about it in my book.
So, in retrospect, a mistake.
I think that. Hey guys, I think that we just have to really understand what we're trying to do here in this country going forward. And I think that's the big message, that people around this country are looking for a different, sort of new, bold, fresh leadership. And I believe that that's what Donald Trump is about.
General, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
We agree on that, General.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. I'm for Trump.
What's the hat for? What's the hat stand for?
That's Pax Christi,
the,
for Jesus Christ.
Yeah, good. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Good. You betcha. Because what's coming, eventually, there'll be no more wars. I know we can all agree that that'll be a good thing.
See, then you're...
That's a ways out. That's the other side.
Yeah, you're...
But by the end of the century, well, that's what the Bible says. We'll find out.
And that's why I was wearing this shirt earlier, and why I put it back on now, because a couple of things. I wanted to know if he was a rhino, or really an American in name only, because they're going to do more false flag operations. We have to stand up. Anybody who's at all aware, and the military is the most awake group in the country. And this is what we're trying to do, is to wake up more of them. We need people to stand up to the tyranny that's going to unfold. Because like George Washington, I believe, said, the amount of tyranny that you will live under is the amount that you put up with. Because these bullies, like Hillary and Bill and the Bushes and all these other fake patriots, they're just going to keep pushing, because that's what their masters want. And they've all been treated very kindly. I mean, what do you think, these banks pay Hillary hundreds of thousands of dollars for less than an hour speech? Because they expect something because she hasn't delivered? Or Bill Clinton? I mean, he did deliver. He gave him Glass-Steagall. And this is Building 7. Nothing hit it, and it magically fell down. Nothing hit it. Nothing. Sure. Whatever you want to believe. Hey, there's nothing to see here. Look away. 28-page report highlights Saudi Arabia's effort to assist Al-Qaeda, which of course the CIA set up. And there's much more damning stuff. When I got this shirt, it was at a screening on September 11th in downtown Manhattan for a free online documentary now called Fabled Enemies, which goes into the history of the people who were supposedly the hijackers. And then one of the guys at that screening was the husband of the lead stewardess on the plane, the Let's Roll plane that got shot down, is what really happened, in Pennsylvania. And if you don't think it got shot down, it mentions that even in the report. It also, you can see, it's probably still online, Rumsfeld saying it that day. Just type in Rumsfeld, plane shot down. At the time, I think that's been scrubbed now, but it came out who did it. It was some National Guard folks from Ohio who disobeyed orders because Cheney, and we've got the documents on that, you can check that out, Cheney took the shoot-down orders away from the generals in the summer of 2001. The first time in the history of aviation in America. And then after the event, he gave it back to them. Hey, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. Everything is okay. If you want to know more about the specifics and the engineering, as you saw the general ask me if I was an engineer, these are people who have put their livelihood on the line to lay out the facts, the scientific facts of what happened that day. 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, in 2007, this was a news story about putting a chip in us. And there's so many stories about chips. Do not let them put a chip in you. Look outside the frying pan, my friend. They have turned up the heat. The take-home message from 9/11, it was the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's very first protest. You can check that out at the Gandhi Institute. We must be the change that we wish to see in the world, Mahatma Gandhi. This has got to be a revolution of love. That's what it's all about. But it's going to be violently opposed. Seek the truth and bear witness to it, and this is going to stop. This is violence. This is a legal abortion of a little girl. That's why I've got the little boy praying. And the reason they like to kill the innocent child is because this child is innocent. Is not a sinful being like I am. This is an innocent child. This will stop. This is a sacrifice of a child on the altar of lust and convenience. If you've had an abortion, repent. You'll be forgiven. If you've been a provider or supporter of abortion, repent and change your ways. Forgiveness. All you have to do is ask. Jesus sees what's going on. There will be change. The more that he has to get involved, the worse it's going to be for me and you. Prayer and fasting can change the world, and I do both. The rosary is a very powerful weapon, but if you're not a Catholic or whatever reason you don't want to do it, get on your knees, my friend, and repent. Anyway, that's one good website. Tons of others on my website. I link to more than 50. Here's a way to contact me. Something you can do is just tell people about the show. It's available 24/7 online. It's on channel 77 here in the city on Thursdays 8 to 9, and then it repeats at midnight, and then Friday 1 to 2. And go out, get yourself educated. Try and wake up someone, at least your family, and get ready. And remember what my Sioux brothers say, Matakawe Oisin, we are all related. And may God bless you and your family and protect you, and have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.